Black women, have you ever felt like you've been the caretaker for everyone else in your life? Like you've had to grow up way too soon, carry the weight of your entire family, and now you are left feeling emotionally drained with no sense of who you are outside of the roles that you play? Well, I'm here to tell you that's called parentification, and it's time to break free. In our exclusive membership community, Legacy Shifters, we've created an experience specifically for Black women just like you. Women who are ready to reclaim their voice, prioritize themselves, and heal from the invisible wounds of being the strong one for way too long. Through live workshops with me, Montina Galloway, a licensed therapist, and my expert team, plus a private app-based community of women who understand, you'll gain the tools that you need to set boundaries, to prioritize yourself without guilt, and create a life that's truly yours. Imagine a legacy where your joy, your peace, and your priorities come first. Don't wait. Join today. You'll save with our annual membership discount. Visit legacy-shiftersmn.co. Say it with me. I deserve this. Legacy Shifters is here to help you live it.
Hi, Tori.
Hey, Nani.
Hey, everybody watching, and welcome to Restored Healing Conversations. Y'all, this is the space where Tori and I have real, insightful conversations about the challenges and the breakthroughs surrounding parentification and emotional wellness.
Yes.
So my name is Anani, and I am the Client Success Coordinator at Galloway Counseling.
And I'm Tori, so I'm one of the therapists on the team.
Alrighty, and today we're unpacking something we hear all the time, and it's the idea of being a strong Black woman.
Yeah, so for generations, we know that Black women have been praised for their strength, and we've been expected to handle everything from family work, relationships without breaking a sweat. And so strength has become our badge of honor.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, though. Sometimes what we call strength is actually survival mode. And when we live in survival mode for too long, it can come at a cost. Our mental health, our relationships, our physical health, just our overall well-being.
Yeah, so today for this episode, we are asking, what if we shifted the focus to, instead of being strong, we allowed ourselves to become resilient?
That's a big difference. And I feel like people don't really understand the difference. And it's a difference that can change how we care for ourselves, how we set boundaries, how we truly heal.
Right. And so before we dive in, I just wanted to share a quick fun fact. So, according to the study published in the Journal of Black Psychology, the Strong Black Woman schema emphasizes strength, self-resilience, or self-reliance, and emotional suppression among Black women. And so, while these traits can foster resilience, strict adherence to this ideal has been linked to increased psychological distress, which includes higher levels of anxiety and depression.
Absolutely. And so now that we've set that stage, let's get into it, right? So what's the difference between being strong and being resilient?
Mm-hmm. So I feel like a lot of us has been taught that being strong means pushing through no matter what, handling everything on your own and never showing vulnerability.
Yeah, completely agree. I've heard those conversations in my own home, and with friends and family. And so while that kind of strength has helped us survive, especially as Black women,
Right.
it also has left us feeling exhausted and isolated and burnt out.
Right. And so let's be real for really quick. Everything is never done. And so that mindset keeps us in survival mode where we're constantly pouring into others, but never refilling our own cup.
Exactly. And like Let's even talk about the workplace as an example. How many of us have felt like we have to work twice as hard just to be seen as competent?
Right. So that overworked professional, the Black woman who takes on extra responsibilities,
Mhm.
not because she wants to, but because she feels like she has to prove herself. She's staying late, saying yes to everything, and never asking for help.
Mm, How? Yes. And let's not forget the silent struggler, the Black woman dealing with the microaggressions at the office or being overlooked for promotions, but she stays quiet because she's told to
Right.
pick her battles and stay strong.
Yeah. So let's talk about like how this impacts your relationship because
Hmm.
it doesn't like the strong Black woman schema doesn't just show up at work, it follows us home.
Yes, yes, it surely does. Because, take the caretaker of the family, the one who everyone depends on for everything, right? So whether that's financial help, emotional support, or just being the fixer, the rescuer, she's always holding it down for everyone else, but who's holding her down?
And in romantic relationships, it can look like emotional unavailability. So, typically, a woman who struggles to be vulnerable because she's been taught that needing love and support makes her weak. So, instead of expressing her needs, she just suppresses them.
Whew, yeah. And we all know the I got it friend, right? The one who never asks for help, even when she's struggling. If you ask how she's doing, she always says, I'm good. I just had to have a heart to heart with a friend literally last night. And I was like, every time I ask you how you doing, you say I'm good. Like, let's stop thinking that we're a burden to those around us by being open and honest about how we're really doing, how we feel. Allow people the opportunity to show you that you can lean on them.
Right. And so, also, there's a super mom syndrome. And so, this is a mother that feels like she has to do everything from working, cooking, cleaning, and attending every school event without asking for help. So she's exhausted but keeps pushing because Black mothers don't get breaks.
And let's not forget that emotional suppression. Like I just said, a lot of us grew up seeing Black women in our lives hold on to their pain. And so we wouldn't worry, right? Like we do that so that we can push through that survival mode, but that never allows you to really see your mother or your auntie, your grandmother cry because you believed that these Black women, they had to be strong for us.
Right.
If you're finding this conversation helpful and want to explore parentification more deeply, we invite you to check out Legacy Shifters, our online membership community. And we created Legacy Shifters for Black women, like we've been talking about today, so that you can connect with others who understand what you're going through. So keep watching to learn more about Legacy Shifters. Okay, Tori, so what can we do? Like, how do we start shifting away from survival mode, away from the strong Black woman into true resilience and true balance?
Yeah. So, one big thing is learning how to do check ins with yourself. So, instead of pushing through, we need to take a pause and ask, like, how am I really feeling? Taking that moment to breathe and acknowledge your emotions is very powerful.
Absolutely. And so another big one is setting boundaries without guilt. Resilient people know that saying no isn't selfish, it's self care, and that boundaries are the way that we teach those who love us how to love us better.
Right. And so we need to practice self compassion. Like we have to remind ourselves that we are worthy of rest, love, and support, and not just from others, but from ourselves too.
Absolutely. So, can you talk more about the strong Black woman ideal and its impacts on romantic relationships? We have a few questions from viewers, and one person asked that she thinks it's showing up in hers, but she doesn't know how to change that.
Yeah. Yeah, so the strong Black woman mindset in relationships is real. Um, it will have you doing everything and asking for nothing and then secretly resenting it because if you let that build up, it turns into resentment. So the first thing is starting small. Okay, this is very small, but asking your partner, like, hey, can you go grab me some water? Or hey, like, can you go get me something to eat? I'm hungry. And then speaking your needs instead of being like, I'm fine when you're not. I know I have done this before. um, Tell them like how you feel if something was wrong. And then balance strength with softness. So being resilient doesn't mean carrying everything alone. You can delegate some things to other people.
Absolutely. And I love that. Just as simple as, can you give me some water? Like practice, because those small things, as you practice, it'll get easier for you to ask bigger things. We have another viewer question. She asks, I feel like when I try to set boundaries, there's always resistance. Mm,
So the guilt trip, that's a classic. So you set a boundary and suddenly you're the villain in someone else's story. But here's the thing, other people's discomfort doesn't mean that you're wrong. So the important thing, like when you're setting boundaries, is to stay firm. Okay. Say, I hear you, but my decision still stands. There are no debates, there are no justifications. You don't need to explain. The next one is don't over explain. A simple I can't is a full sentence. Like you don't have to explain or justify your decision. And then you have to expect resistance, but don't take the bait. So people are used to saying yes, are used to us saying yes. So they might push back, let them, and then they will adjust.
absolutely. Absolutely. All right. We have another question. Okay. I've been called too sensitive when I try to tell people how I feel. How do I stand firm in my feelings without shutting down? Mm, I need to
Yeah,
hear this one.
yeah. The good old you're too sensitive line. But again, let's be real. Like you're not too sensitive. It could be that they're wanting to dodge taking accountability, or they may be uncomfortable with their emotions. But none of that is for you to figure out or manage. So the first thing is to own your feelings. So I'm not too sensitive. I just feel things and that's okay. And then just do a full stop. Shift the conversation. So instead of brushing it off, um, you can like redirect the conversation and say, can we actually talk about what's going on? And then stop waiting for approval. So your emotions are valid, whether or not someone else understands them. So the bottom line is that sensitivity isn't weakness, it's emotional awareness, and that's a superpower.
Absolutely. And I just want us to really talk about those examples of resilience. Okay. So, how does true resilience look like in action?
Right. So the first thing is to realize instead of like suppressing your emotions, you're actually acknowledging them and sitting with them. Because a lot of times, especially I know growing up in a household, I grew up with boomers. And so they're used to like being strong and like not processing their emotions. But that turns out it builds up and it's going to come out anyway. So start by first acknowledging your emotions, sitting with them, and reframing them. Maybe it's a growth opportunity, the challenges that you're facing. But yes.
Absolutely. And, also just like you said, allowing yourself to feel, crying, talking it out, journaling, instead of stuffing it down because it will come up, it's like that pressure cooker. You trying to stamp it down, but the lid will pop open. All right. So we have another question here. What advice do you have for Black women in leadership who feel the pressure to have it all together while supporting their teams or their colleagues?
Mm-hmm. Right. So the pressure to have it all together. It's so real, especially when you're leading and everyone's looking at you for the answers and support. But here's the thing, you don't have to be perfect to be a great leader. So, the most important aspect that people forget is to lead with vulnerability. So, show your team that it's okay not to have everything figured out because it builds trust and lets them know that they can show up authentically too. So, delegate without guilt. Realize that you can't do it all and empower your team and trust them to take on responsibilities. Set boundaries. So, again, you can't pour from an empty cup. Um, Take breaks and say no and prioritize your mental health. Celebrate progress, not perfection. So, instead of focusing on everything that is not done, celebrate those small wins. And then again, ask for help. So, leadership isn't about doing everything on your own. It's knowing when to lean on others for support.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have another restored listener who is asking a question. They said, how do I navigate friendships when my friends are still operating in the strong Black woman mindset, but I'm trying to heal? Ooh,
Yeah, that's a tough one.
yes.
So, first, again, be clear about your boundaries. So, gently let them know that you're in a healing space and you can't always show up in the same way. It's not about them, it's about you. Again, as stated, I think it's similar to the romantic relationships. Communicate your needs. So, share that you're prioritizing your rest and self care and
Mhm.
vulnerability. And then again, lead by example. So as you heal, be open about your journey because it could be very influential and it could inspire them to start their healing. Give yourself permission to outgrow certain dynamics. So not all friendships are meant to stay the same. It's okay to reassess and see who you're investing your time in and if you don't want to do that anymore. And then
Mhm.
just remember that healing does not look the same for everyone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ooh, I feel like this has been such a great breakdown on what it means to be a strong Black woman and what it means to
Mhm.
be a resilient Black woman. Okay, so let's recap. Strong Black woman schema, y'all, that is nothing but survival mode. It's not true strength if it's leaving you burnt out, if it's leaving you
Mhm.
resentful, if it's leaving you with relationships with no boundaries. Like resilience is about balance. It's about setting boundaries without guilt because you know that that is self-care. It's about asking for help, right? And so in your relationships, stop carrying everything alone. You don't have to do it alone. Resilience means being vulnerable and telling the people who care about you in your life, I need help. I can't do this alone. Let them show up for you. You deserve people to show up for you. And then we also talked about boundaries. So when people try to guilt trip you, when you lay down your boundary and you let them know what you're having, what you're not having, stand firm in that.
Mhm.
You know, saying I can't, saying I don't want to, saying no, like that's enough. No further explanations needed. We don't need to be over explaining our boundaries, right? And then lastly, true resilience. So it isn't about pushing through. It's not about bouncing back quicker than you fell. It's not about setting boundaries with, the hold on, back up. And then lastly, true resilience. It isn't about pushing through. It isn't about bouncing back quick. It's about bouncing back wiser. Set boundaries. Know that rest is productive. Rest does not mean that you are lazy. Black women, we deserve rest, right? Like practice that. Practice rest. Whatever rest means to you, do that. Okay. Make time out of your day to prioritize your rest and practice processing your emotions instead of suppressing them.
Mhm. Okay. So if you found this video like very like it resonated with you, and you want to take the next step in your healing journey, let's chat. So I'm currently accepting new clients here at Myers Galloway Counseling, and I would love to help you dive deeper. So click the link in the comments or description below to book your free 15-minute phone consultation. So let's get you that support that you deserve.
Absolutely. And don't forget to check out Legacy Shifters, our online membership community.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Restored Healing Conversations. We hope that this opened your eyes on the differences between being strong versus resilient, and that there's support if you're ready to take a step into a healthier chapter of your life.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we will see y'all in the next episode.
If you are a Black woman in healthcare, I have got something special for you. On March 18th, I will be hosting a free webinar called 5 Strategies for Black Women Leaders in Outpatient Healthcare to Beat Burnout and Reclaim Wellbeing. You are not going to want to miss this opportunity. I will share with you my unique framework for beating burnout and reclaiming well-being. I hope to see you there. Black women, have you ever felt like you've been the caretaker for everyone else in your life? Like you've had to grow up way too soon, carry the weight of your entire family, and now you are left feeling emotionally drained with no sense of who you are outside of the roles that you play? Well, I'm here to tell you, that's called parentification, and it's time to break free. In our exclusive membership community, Legacy Shifters, we've created an experience specifically for Black women just like you. Women who are ready to reclaim their voice, prioritize themselves, and heal from the invisible wounds of being the strong one for way too long. Through live workshops with me, Montina Myers Galloway, a licensed therapist, and my expert team, plus a private app-based community of women who understand, you'll gain the tools that you need to set boundaries, to prioritize yourself without guilt, and create a life that's truly yours. Imagine a legacy where your joy, your peace, and your priorities come first. Don't wait. Join today. You'll save with our annual membership discount. Visit legacy-shiftersmn.co. Say it with me. I deserve this. Legacy Shifters is here to help you live it.